Hey guys, welcome back to Book Club for Movies. I've seen 3 movies perfectly timed for the spooky season since the last time we spoke. First movie I want to talk about is Halloween 3. I finally got to see Halloween 3. The only other movie in this franchise I've seen is the original, and I saw that for the first time last year, and I knew that this was kind of the black sheep of the franchise for many reasons. You have those people who think that this is the last good entry in the series. And then you have those people who think this is the dumbest entry in the series because this is the only one not to include Michael Myers. This is when John Carpenter came back to assist. He did not direct this one, but he had a major influence and did the score as well as produce. But this one does not feature Michael Myers as the antagonist. This one has a very interesting idea. It's an idea that I am a sucker for. We have an average Joe. Now, I know he's a doctor, but he's the closest thing to an everyman we have in this film. We have an average Joe, played by Tom Atkins, who is exceptional. If you ever see Tom Atkins in anything, he is always great. I love him in Night of the Creeps. I love him in The Fog. He's doing something in Drive Angry 3D. Not saying he's doing a great thing, but he's doing something. He's caring in that film. But he is our main character, and he plays a doctor who gets drawn in after a patient in his hospital is murdered, and the murder is connected to the manufacture of these Halloween masks. Now, I'll tell you, this one was right on the line where I was considering keeping it. I got this one at McKay's. This was from before I realized I was going to be making this show, and I peeled off all the stickers. But I want to say I got this at a really good deal. I got this for $6.95 or $7.95, if I'm remembering correctly. I couldn't find my receipt. But this was genuinely a good watch. I don't want to spoil everything about this film, but I'll tell you one of my favorite things that they do is there's the broadcast. There's a countdown movie. It's a countdown movie where they keep counting down to Halloween. There's going to be this big television broadcast that the company that Tom Atkins is investigating is in charge of. This broadcast is right after the original Halloween plays on film, and there's a scene where Halloween is playing on the TV, and that scene on the TV is scoring the scene of the room that it's in. That is amazing. That had to be John Carpenter's idea, because that is an amazing idea to pull off here. Also, the other thing that's going to get stuck in your head is this is the movie where they have the Silver Shamrock thing. You know, the Happy Happy Halloween, 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 Happy Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. That plays a couple times, and every time you know it's just going to dig a little deeper in the back of your head, and you're just going to have a free moment just thinking about something, and you're going to, that's going to start playing in your head. This movie is gross. All of the kills are disgusting. Completely disgusting. There's an android that shows up, and the fight with the android is really good. There are some scenes that I love, like that pre-mentioned scene about the TV playing Halloween in the background, but it doesn't do all of the things it could. It is one of those the town is in on it type movies, which I am a sucker for. Dead and Buried being one of the best in the genre, in my opinion. But I know there are other people who are looking to add this movie to their shelf, which is why Halloween 3 will be going in my McKay's bag for my next trip. Now, I will say, This particular release, I can't speak about the Shout Factory Collector's Edition. Because it's very clear what happened is somebody bought the Shout Factory Halloween box set. It may have been an earlier released box set because it has the Anchor Bay logo on the side. This release does not have a barcode, which lets me know this is from a box set. This release does not have subtitles. I'm sure the collector's edition has subtitles. I'll do some research right here and let you know. But this release here, no subtitles. I could not tell you the last time I put a Blu-ray in and there were no subtitles. But this was a great way to start off the Halloween movie season for me. It's not a perfect film. I don't think I'll ever go back and rewatch it, which is one of the main reasons why I'd keep a movie. Is I say, you put that on right now, it's almost there. It's so close. But I know there are people out there who love this movie a lot more than me, and if this ending up at McKay's at a reasonable price makes their day even better, more power to them. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, is going in my McKay's bag.
Yeah, this is Jonathan.
Now that movie was short. It was short enough that my wife and I were able to fit in another movie. That movie being 1982's Alone in the Dark. Now this is one of those movies that I got off of Facebook Marketplace from that guy, where I got 4 movies for $40. Last week you saw me talked about The Burning. That was also in that 4 for $40 deal. This movie was sold to me on 2 things. I was told this is a slasher with dark comedy elements, and I was told this is a slasher that stars multiple Oscar-winning actors. The movie doesn't do enough of the dark comedy. This is bearing the lead here. Alone in the Dark is also a fun watch, but it's going to go in my McKay's bag. There's a couple things I want to talk about. The premise of this film is that a new psychiatrist has moved into this small rural town in, I believe it's upstate New York, and this is kind of an easy breezy asylum. It's more lax on the rules, except for those people on the higher floor. The people on the higher floor are our killers for the film. The asylum is run by Donald Pleasance, and he's kind of a alternative believer in how to treat these patients. Problem is that the people on the top floor are the ones that are considered violent and dangerous. Those are our Oscar-winning performers. 2 of them are. Jack Palance is amazing in this movie. Jack Palance goes from 0 to 100 back down to 0 in every scene.
Dr. Potter!
Happy trails.
He is exceptional. Martin Landau is very good in this movie. And the movie does do some interesting things, because we open this movie with a view into what Martin Landau sees when he dreams, his insanity dreams, his fever nightmares, essentially. And that diner scene sets the stage for something that the movie never goes back to. I feel like if they were able to put us more in the head of these killers, that it would get a higher score. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5. Same with Halloween. Halloween 3 got a 3 out of 5. Alone in the Dark gets a 3 out of 5 from me because it never fully gives into that. One of the things I will tell you is the movie had me horrified for a second. Because there is a 500-pound man who's one of the people on the top floor who escapes, because this is one of those movies where there's essentially a power outage and they get out. And then there's a time gap of when they escape to when they actually assault the house. There's about a day and a half that passes, which is, I think, a detriment to this film. But one of the people that gets out is this 500-pound killer who likes children. And there's a child in the film, and he's alone with the child. And I was thinking, oh no, if this movie I've never heard of goes here, I'm gonna have to shut this off. And they make it very clear that nothing happened. Oh, thank goodness.
She asked me to take care of you till she gets back.
Are you a babysitter?
That's right.
There's some really good kills in this film. The scene with the babysitter and her boyfriend. That was an excellent setup. Excellent setup, excellent payoff. The babysitter's name is Bunky, and I googled, well, what is Bunky short for? And I've not been this confused since I saw Teen Wolf, and I was trying to figure out, what is Boof short for? Jack Palance is amazing. Martin Landau is amazing. The guy who plays the Bleeder is very good. The 400 or 500-pound killer who likes kids. He kills somebody by baiting them across his knee, and that man is folded like laundry, and that was a good kill. But there's one other moment in this film where we get a brief look into an altered psyche, and it's one of our people in the house is about on the verge of a mental break. The scare that is set off by her is very quick. But it might be the best moment in this movie because it happens so late in the plot that you're thinking, are we going here? Are we going here? To the point where this scare, I don't know about the rest of the movie, this scare is specially credited as a subcredit that says, this person's visage by Tom Savini. Tom Savini made one thing in this movie, and it is so good, I believe it's the best part of this movie, without a doubt. The movie does have some light comedy elements. They do visit a club where this band plays themselves, and they're singing a song about cutting up your mother, and then they come back at the end. But I really think there's a couple things that keep this movie from being what it could have been. Because when I watched the movie, I was thinking that maybe Donald Pleasance was another person in the asylum, and we were going to find that out near the end. That maybe he replaced the man, maybe he's in on it the whole time, maybe this is a new part of his therapy, but they don't do any of that. He's just kooky, and he doesn't really add anything to the film. It's not a great performance by Donald Pleasance. Bunky? Who names their kid Bunky? The internet can tell me nothing as to what Bunky is short for. Alone in the Dark was worth my time. Nothing I saw this weekend was a waste of my time. Alone in the Dark, well worth your time. I give it a 3 out of 5, but it is going in my McKay's bag. That Tom Savini scare almost put it over the top of the line there, but it doesn't. There's only very brief moments where I'm like, I would see this again. Or if I talk to people about it, me talking about it's going to make it sound better than it is. They might see it once, but I'm not telling you all to go out and buy this thing. It's not that perfect of a film. I saw one more movie this weekend. On Sunday, my wife and I sat down and we watched Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, which I got at McKay's for $3.95. And when I tell you, Hellboy 2 takes whatever the first movie set up and pushes it all the way to what it should have been, Hellboy 2 is a near perfect film for what it's going for. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 because there are some elements that bring it down, but I will tell you, if you liked Hellboy 1, Hellboy 2 is so much better. The effects are better. I think that just comes from it getting a higher budget and it being released in 2008. There are some elements of this movie where the effects look even better than some modern films that have been released recently. Like that giant plant monster, amazing effects. I think they played up the saturation more because the real contrast between the red of Hellboy and the blue of Abe really stand apart. They let Guillermo run wild in this movie. The scene that really sets this movie apart from anything else I have seen is the troll market. When I tell you there is a 10-15 minute scene that takes place in the troll market, there are so many things that happen and are just in the background, and you're wondering, well, what's that? There's a behind-the-scenes featurette on this disc, I'm sure you can find on YouTube, where Guillermo walks you through the set, and he talks about the rich, detailed history and the reasons why behind all of this stuff in the movie that you don't even hear them describe. It's all window dressing. And it just reminds me how horrible it is that he was removed from the Hobbit movies. Because this is what those needed. There are so many characters. There are so many little weird guys that Guillermo clearly helped make that really helps stand this movie apart. One of the best weird parts of this movie is there is a new agent brought onto the team, voiced by Seth MacFarlane, and he is a ghost in a clockwork suit. And they do everything with that. He is possessing things. He gets out of the suit. There's fights with him out of the suit. They explain how he works. It's really well done. And Seth isn't just, using one of his stock voices. It is a different enough voice from Klaus from American Dad. One of the things that brings this movie down, now I will say I've not seen her in anything outside of Hellboy 1 and Hellboy 2, but I'll tell you, I don't think Selma Blair is great in this.
Red, I don't want you to freak out. I'm gonna leave for a little bit. I need time to think.
But there's so much in this movie that really, really brings it up to what it needs to be. I do think one of the problems is this is still in the era of you're making a comic book movie or you're making a movie, and this was made to be a comic book movie. I feel like if Guillermo was allowed to make this as a movie as opposed to a comic book movie, because the comic book elements are what makes this feel dated. What doesn't make this feel dated is the scenes where Hellboy and Abe Sapien are singing old show tunes together. That scene really does, it brightens up the movie. It really makes it an enjoyable watch. It's a shame that we never got Hellboy 3 as originally planned, because they set up when Big Red comes back to life that he's going to bring upon the end of the world. And you can tell Doug Jones is having the time of his life playing that spirit apparition thing that brings Hellboy back to life. And we don't get to see, Hellboy raise his kids or any of that. Stuff that would have really been interesting to see them in the trilogy on. But Hellboy 2, I think, can stand alone on its own. If I forget that Hellboy 2 is there and I just call this Hellboy the Golden Army, because I love the elf designs, I love the elves, interspersed with more modern settings because they've had to escape to the underworld. All of that really works. But Hellboy has enough in it that I'm like, you could put this on for me any day of the week. Hellboy 2, The Golden Army is going on my shelf next to where the first movie is not. I did not like the first movie enough to keep, but Hellboy 2 is going on my shelf right over there. Now, I do have to tell you all that I'm going to try to get a video out next week before my big trip, but if I don't, I promise there's more videos coming, and they're going to be more of what I've been hoping to make from this channel. We're going to get more hotels reviews based on this next trip. I'm going to pick up some particular films I know for sure that I want to discuss. I'm going to be picking up some imports from Orbit so I can really dive into how do you watch imported movies if you haven't paid for a region-free player. But all of this and more will be coming from this channel. But with that, I hope to see you all next week, next time, whenever that may be, here on the Book Club for Movies. Have a good week, everyone.